Welcome everyone to this video. So in this video we are going to conclude the topic which we started on chemical bonding. So in this question, stick until the end because I'm going to solve these two questions which came in 2022 and 2023. So before I start, don't forget to subscribe, comment and follow for more, and also share to your friends that may need the video. So to begin, in our previous video part 1, we talked about ionic bonding, where I mentioned that ionic bonding, this is the transfer of electron from a metal to a non-metal. So a metal donates. But today we are going to look at something different, which is the covalent bond. Covalent bond or covalent bonding. So what is covalent bonding? So basically covalent bonding, this is the sharing of electrons between non-metals. So here it involves one, the sharing of electrons between non-metals. So when we're talking about covalent bonding, this is the type of bonding where non-metals share electrons. So here they do not donate, but each one share. So here each one contributes to the bond. But in ionic bonding, we say that only metals are the ones which contribute by donating the electrons. So now that you have understood what covalent bonding is, we are going to look at some examples that are formed from covalent bonding. So the first example we are going to look at is hydrogen. So the first example is hydrogen. So most of you are wondering, hydrogen, isn't it an atom? Yes, hydrogen is an atom, but it exists as a molecule. Why do we say so? Because hydrogen alone, it is unstable. So for it to be stable, it has to react with another hydrogen so that they form what? A stable compound. Then the second covalent bond we are going to look at is water. So water is also another covalent bond, which is a combination of hydrogen and oxygen. So here we have two molecules of hydrogen reacting with one molecule of oxygen. So next we have known how, or we have seen the examples which can be formed under covalent bonding. So before I show you how the bond is formed, we have another one which is the ammonia. So these three I'm giving you, they like bringing them. So you need to pay particular attention as we are trying to draw the close and dot diagram. So now that we have known the examples, the next thing you need to know is how to draw now the covalent bonding, or how you can represent it in a diagram form. So how can you draw it? So we are going to pick an example of water, for example. So we are going to say water, which is H2O. So remember, in water we have how many hydrogens? We have 2. And how many oxygens? We have 1. So remember what I said in my previous video. I said the first thing when you are drawing a cross and dot diagram, you have to take the what? The proton number. So what is the proton number of oxygen? So we know that oxygen has a proton number of 2,6, which is has a proton number of 8. So meaning in its first shell it has 2 electrons, while in the second shell it has 6 electrons. Then when we talk about hydrogen, it has only 1 electron. So the second thing I told you is we only consider the electrons in the outermost shell. So the only electrons we are going to consider are 6 and what? 1. Yeah. So after we have identified now the what? The numbers we are going to use to draw, we are going to now ask ourselves which one can be stabilized, or you can just look at the question. So here on the question we can see that we have how many hydrogen? 2. And how many oxygen? 1. So we are going to draw the oxygen, which is 1. So always start with the atoms which is alone. Don't draw the 2. So we are going to say oxygen, then O here. Then we are going to say the first shell has how many? It has 2. 1. So we are going to use the dot 2. Then you say the second shell has how many? 6. So how many electrons does oxygen need for it to attain 8 what? Electrons. So oxygen only needs 2. But the problem is hydrogen only has 1. So meaning we are going to multiply the 1 with 2. So here, how you can do it is, first you look at the atoms which is alone. Then you ask yourself how many electrons does this element need for it to reach 8. Then in our case it needs 2. Then you say, oh, then hydrogen, how many electrons does hydrogen donate to this? It is only donating what? 1. So meaning for this to be full, it needs 2 hydrogens to donate to itself for it to be full. So you say now, here you put a dot, and here you also put a dot. Remember, when we are talking about covalent bonding, this is the sharing of what? Electrons. So we are saying here atoms, they are sharing what? Electrons. Then here you say 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So we have 6. Then now you say since hydrogen only needs 1 for it to be full, you say 1. Here you put hydrogen. Even here you say 1. So once you have done this, or once you draw like this, meaning you have represented water as a close-end dotted diagram. Next, we are going to look at the properties of covalent bonding. So what are some of the properties which a molecule or which a compound formed from covalent bond possesses? So the first characteristic is they have a low melting and boiling point. So here one thing which can help you is that you can just consider the opposite of ionic bonding. When we say that ionic bonding have what? High melting and boiling point. Covalent bonding, they have low boiling and melting point. Since ionic compounds, they conduct electricity, so meaning covalent bond won't conduct what? Electricity. Yeah. Then the last property or the last characteristic is, we say that ionic compounds, they are insoluble. They are soluble in water. But when it comes to covalent bond, we say that these are insoluble in water. So these are some of the properties which you come across when you are looking at covalent bonding. So this is where my part 2 video will end. In the next video, we are going to solve now the questions on covalent bonding and ionic bonding, so that you can understand further and see how questions are brought on this topic. So be sure to subscribe to my channel so that you don't miss when the next video is released.